Let's start by dismantling the very first assumption that the sun is setting. From a strictly astrophysical perspective, this is a grand, beautiful deception. The Earth is rotating you away from the sun's direct glare at approximately 1,040 miles per hour. That golden hue you adore is not the sun's true color, but the result of a celestial data point, Rayleigh scattering. Here's the organic data. Daylight appears white because it contains the full spectrum of visible light wavelengths. As the sun approaches the horizon, its light must pass through a significantly thicker slice of the Earth's atmosphere. The molecules and particles in this atmosphere are oxygen, nitrogen, water vapor. Even pollutants act as tiny obstacles. Shorter wavelengths of light, like blue and violet, are scattered wildly in all directions. The longer wavelengths, reds, oranges, and yellows, have a lower frequency and can punch through this atmospheric filter more directly. This is not a random artistic choice by nature. It is physics in its purest form. The precise color data of your sunset is a direct readout of atmospheric composition. A deep, fiery red often indicates a high concentration of aerosols, which could be dust from a distance, desert storm, ash from a volcanic eruption thousands of miles away, or even urban pollution. A clearer, more yellow-golden sunset suggests a cleaner, albeit still particle-rich, atmosphere. That quiet beach is therefore a passive data collection station. The sand and water act as a near-perfect Lambertian reflector, diffuse this filtered sunlight uniformly, creating that mesmerizing glow. But this reflection is also conveying information. The calmness of the water is crucial. Wave action would shatter the reflection into a million glittering fragments, losing the coherent signal. The wet sand at the shoreline, acting as a mirror, doubles the data, allowing you to see the sky's color palette replicated below. This moment is a conversation between a star and a planet, translated through a fluid atmosphere and decoded on a terrestrial canvas. The golden is not a color. It is a diagnostic report. Every sunset you have ever witnessed was a unique atmospheric fingerprint, a specific combination of gas density, particulate matter, and humidity levels. So before we even get to biology or motion, understand this: you are not watching a sunset. You are reading a real-time environmental essay written in light, with the beach as your page. Now let's track that reflected golden light from the water's surface directly into your body. This is where the passive observation becomes an active biological intervention. As the intensity of blue light from the sun diminishes with the scattering effect, it signals a master gland in your brain, the pineal gland. This tiny, pine cone-shaped organ is your body's primary data processor for ambient light, and it operates on organic hardware programming. The reduction in blue light wavelength is the key data point. It triggers the pineal gland to cease production of serotonin, the neurotransmitter associated with alertness and mood regulation, and to begin secreting melatonin, the hormone that prepares your body for sleep. This is your circadian rhythm, your internal 24-hour clock, being sensed by the greatest clock in our sky. But a sunset on a quiet beach, with its dominant golden and red wavelengths, supercharges this process. Research in chronobiology suggests that exposure to these longer wavelengths in the evening can actually enhance melatonin production later, leading to deeper, more restorative sleep compared to an abrupt shift into darkness from artificial lights. Your skin cells, or keratinocytes, are also absorbing this light. The gentle, low-angle infrared radiation provides a mild, therapeutic warmth that can improve peripheral circulation without the DNA-damaging intensity of midday UV rays. Furthermore, the consistent, predictable pattern of a sunset, a slow, inevitable transition, has a profound impact on your autonomic nervous system. The fight-or-flight sympathetic response begins to downregulate, while the rest and digest parasympathetic nervous system is activated. Your heart rate may slow, your blood pressure can lower slightly and digestion is promoted. This is not merely feeling relaxed. This is a quantifiable, physiological shift from a state of resource mobilization to a state of resource conservation and repair. The quiet beach environment compounds this effect. The rhythmic, predictable sound of gentle waves, what acousticians call pink noise, masks erratic, jarring noises, further encouraging parasympathetic dominance. The vast, open horizon line provides visual relief for eyes strained by close-up screens, reducing ocular muscle tension. So, when you deliberately place yourself before a golden sunset, you are not being poetic. You are running a sophisticated biological software update. You are hacking your own endocrine and nervous systems using the oldest protocol on Earth, the diurnal cycle. While your body is winding down, the ecosystem you are standing in is shifting into a completely different operational mode. The golden sunset is the starter's pistol for the most critical phase of the marine day, the crepuscular period. This is a data-based ecological fact. As the light dims and shifts spectrum, the vertical migration begins, the largest daily migration of biomass on the planet, and it's happening right in front of you. Trillions of zooplankton, small fish, and other microscopic organisms rise from the deep, darker water toward the surface to feed on phytoplankton under the cover of lowered visibility from predators. This movement pulls predator fish closer to shore, which in turn attracts seabirds diving for their evening meal. The reflection on the water isn't just pretty for these species, it's a camouflage blanket or hunting spotlight. On the beach itself, the cooling sand triggers the emergence. Ghost crabs, mole crabs, and a host of other invertebrates venture out of their burrows. The golden light is dim enough for them to risk exposure, but still provides enough visual data to navigate and forage. The tide line, wetted by the reflecting surf, becomes a highway of activity. This is also the prime time for many shorebird species, like sandpipers and plovers, to engage in frenetic feeding, using the last of the light to probe the wet sand for worms and crustaceans. Furthermore, the change in light temperature affects plant life. Coastal dune plants close their stomata to conserve water as humidity rises with the cooling air. The specific angle of the sunset light is also crucial for certain pollinators that are active at dusk. But the most critical data point is for species that rely on the polarization of light for navigation. Like many insects and some bird species, the pattern of polarized light in the sky during sunset is a unique compass, and the reflection on the calm water can either confuse or guide them. The quiet beach is, in fact, a theater of intense survival drama, governed by the precise data encoded in the fading golden light. You are witnessing a shift in the food web's power dynamics, a change in respiratory rhythm for intertidal organisms, and the commencement of reproductive cycles for many species. That serene glow is the ecological shift change. Now we arrive at the most complex layer. Why does this specific scene, golden light, on a quiet beach elicit such a universal, deep-seated emotional response in humans? The data here comes from psychology, neurology, and anthropology. First, the visual composition hits several key triggers for our brain. Innate aesthetic preference, a concept sometimes called biophilia. The vast, open horizon signifies opportunity and lack of immediate threat, a safe prospect. The resource-rich boundary where land meets water promises sustenance. The warm color palette is associated with fire, warmth, and safety, as opposed to the cool, potentially dangerous blues of deep night or stormy seas. Neurologically, viewing vast, awe-inspiring natural scenes like this has been shown to reduce activity in the default mode network, DAN, of the brain, the region associated with self-referential thought, worry, and mind-wandering. In simpler terms, It can quiet your internal monologue. The combination of fractal patterns in the waves, the clouds, and the texture of the sand provides a high level of visual complexity without overwhelm, which the brain finds pleasurable to process, reducing cognitive load. Culturally, the sunset is a powerful metaphor embedded in every human society. It represents closure, completion, and the promise of renewal. It is a daily reminder of cycles larger than ourselves, which can put personal anxieties into perspective, a concept known as all theory. The reflection on the water doubles this metaphor, suggesting balance, symmetry, and the idea that the beauty of the sky is within reach, mirrored on Earth. This scene is also a rare digital detox. It contains no straight lines, no notifications, no urgent text. It is a stream of analog, predictable sensory data that our Paleolithic brains are perfectly adapted to process, offering a profound sense of cognitive relief. We are not just looking at beauty, we are engaging in a form of neural recalibration. The sunset beach is a cognitive sanctuary where the brain can switch from active, focused, goal-oriented processing to a more diffuse, restorative, and integrative state. This is why it feels less like watching something and more like feeling something. It's a psychological homecoming. This brings us to the urgent, culminating point. This entire multidimensional experience, the astrophysical data, the biological hack, the ecological shift, and the psychological sanctuary is contingent on one fragile condition, the authenticity of the environment. A golden sunset reflecting across a quiet natural beach. This is not a guaranteed future. The atmospheric data it broadcasts is increasingly skewed by novel pollutants. The very light spectrum is being adulterated by artificial sky glow from coastal development, disrupting the biological triggers for you and every creature in that ecosystem. The quiet is shattered by the noise of jets, watercraft, and industrial activity, severing the acoustic link to the parasympathetic nervous system. The beach itself, that perfect reflector, is being altered by erosion from hardened shorelines, polluted by microplastics that weave into the sand's matrix, and lit by intrusive artificial lights that cancel the crepuscular migration. We are not just losing a pretty view, we are losing a vital, multi-species data transmission station and wellness interface. The call to action, therefore, must be as multifaceted as the phenomenon itself. It begins with direct preservation, supporting organizations dedicated to acquiring and protecting pristine coastline, not as recreational parks alone, but as vital biological and psychological reserves. It extends to dark sky initiatives in coastal communities, advocating for lighting ordinances that protect the natural night cycle. It means making personal choices to reduce aerosol pollutants and plastic waste that inevitably find their way to these shores. But most importantly, it requires a shift in recognition. We must stop seeing these places as merely scenic backdrops for our leisure, and start recognizing them as active, living systems essential for planetary and human health. You have the data now. You understand what is truly happening when you stand there. That knowledge comes with responsibility. So here's what I need you to do. First, solidify this understanding. This video is a blueprint, but the real knowledge is applied. Download the community guide I've put together. The link is in the description. It has simple steps to calculate local light pollution, to advocate for coastal conservation, and to create a personal sunset ritual that maximizes the biological benefits we discussed. Second, become a data point for change. Share your own sunset observations in the comments. Not just a photo, tell me what you noticed. Was the water glassy or rippled? What birds were active? How did your own state of mind shift? Let's build a crowdsourced data set of human experience right here. Third, and this is critical, take this information offline. Your next step is not another video. It is to intentionally seek out a quiet, natural space, whether a beach, a lake, or a hilltop for one sunset this week. Be present. Observe the data stream. Feel the biological shift. And then fourth, use that renewed clarity to take one tangible action for preservation. Write one email to a local representative about dark sky policy, join one beach cleanup, or make one donation to a credible marine conservation group. The sunset is a call to awe, and from awe must spring action. You are now a witness to the depth of this moment. Don't let that witness be passive. Hit the like button if this changed your perspective. Subscribe if you want to dive this deep into the everyday wonders around us, and share this with one person who needs to see the world and their place in it anew. Now, go out there and read the light.